Our next presentation is a live virtual presentation. We have Tim Harrison, the Manager Director of Ionic Rare Earths.
Sorry I can't be there today in the flesh. Obviously, we've got a booth there which is well manned by a couple of my colleagues, so please feel free to drop by. I think we've got some copies of the presentation there as well. Just a cautionary statement. Just to provide a quick snapshot of the corporate details of Ionic Rare Earths. We've got a market cap of around about $112 million. We did a capital raise earlier this year, raised 12 million, and we've still got about 11 million in the bank at the end of the last quarter. The focus of the company is the development of a secure and traceable critical and heavy rare earth supply chain. This is all effectively derived from the Makuutu rare earth mine, which is located 120 kilometres east of Kampala. Makuutu is extremely unique. It's a very large ionic adsorption clay deposit. These are the type of mineralisations which are prevalent in South China, and they've been the source of approximately 95% of the world's global supply of heavy rare earths. Makuutu mineralisation stretches approximately 37 kilometres end to end. We've tested 27 kilometres, and that's been adequate for us to define a scoping study with the potential to supply a life of mine of up to 27 years. The project and the mineralisation at Makuutu lends itself to a low capital, simple mining and processing to produce a mixed rare earth carbonate free of radionuclides. So it's very different from the hard rock rare earth projects that most investors are exposed to. We're also looking at developing a refinery with the potential to take our product and to split it and separate into the individual rare earths. One of the major attractions of Makuutu is our unique basket. It's a basket that's very different to many other projects on the ASX. It produces a very balanced composition of critical and heavy rare earths, and that basket means that it will produce a high basket value. So the intent of the project is a low capital development with a high margin, and the products from the basket have very bespoke, very unique applications in being able to help facilitate the global drive towards carbon neutrality. So typical applications include the permanent magnets that go into the motors for electric vehicles and offshore wind turbines, and key military applications, along with other communications applications. Makuutu itself, as I mentioned previously, it's a very large mineralisation system. We've tested 26 or 27 kilometres of the 37 kilometre mineralisation trend. Presently, Ionic owns 51% of the Makuutu project. We're in an earn-in. We earn up to 60% on the completion of a feasibility study, which is targeted for completion by October of next year. But we do have a preemptive right on the remaining 40% of the project. The appeal of the project in the basket means that it's a very strategic deposit. The depletion of ionic adsorption clays in southern China and the rarity of this type of mineralisation outside of Southeast Asia means that it's a deposit and a mineralisation that's going to have an increasingly important role to play for global governments to achieve carbon neutrality targets by 2050. That strategic appeal is why we're having a number of discussions at the moment with global groups who have got a keen interest in participating in the development of Makuutu and essentially getting access to the basket and the products. The project is really well supported by existing infrastructure, so we have access to low-cost hydroelectric power, roads and rail that are already there, and we've got mobile phone communications across the site. Touched on previously the nature of the amount of drilling that we've completed at the project area. We've tested 27 of the 37-kilometre mineralisation trend. We're presently in what we're calling the Phase 4 drill program. We've recently increased that drill program, which is focused on infill drilling to increase the measured and indicated resource base at the project, which will go towards increasing the resource base to support the feasibility study. In addition to that, earlier this year, we announced a successful Phase 3 exploration drill program, which identified mineralisation trends extending to the east and the northwest. So we're very confident that beyond the drill program that we have underway at the moment, there is considerable scope for significant additional exploration successes in the next 12 to 18 months. The basket itself, it's a very balanced basket. So typically in the rare earth space, the focus is predominantly on NdPr, so neodymium and praseodymium. They're the two major elements that most of the hard rock rare earth miners and project developers will focus upon. The differences with the ionic adsorption clays is that they have a higher prevalence of the heavy rare earths. These are the heavy rare earths, are the elements shaded in blue in the pie chart. So you can see that Makuutu as an ionic adsorption clay has a substantial amount of yttrium present in the basket. Yttrium has a number of key applications in very targeted military deployments. So yttrium from a very strategic perspective has tremendous interest from global groups. The project and the company completed a scoping study, which we announced to the market earlier this year. In April, we announced what we thought was an extremely robust business case built on the indicated resource base. We showed an 11-year project life that developed or presented an NPV of around about $320 million and an IRR of 38%. There is potential for with additional infill drilling to increase that resource base. We're working through that program now with a focus on increasing the indicated and measured resource base to approximately 250 million tonnes to support the feasibility study. We've talked about the global appeal of the basket. The other attribute that's worth mentioning is the project has the potential to be a substantial producer of low-cost scandium. It's the third largest scandium resource reported globally, and as such represents tremendous opportunity for the company to be a real leader in the production of low-cost scandium, which has got key opportunities for enabling lightweighting of transportation and aerospace. The ESG focus that the company is working through at the moment is effectively we're highlighting a number of programs that we're working at the moment in Uganda to support the environmental and social impact assessment that'll be required for us to submit a mining license application. We're working through the ESIA documentation at the moment, which in addition to completing the baseline environmental surveys, also includes socio-economic baseline surveys of the local stakeholders in the project areas, with a view to understanding the ways in which we can develop the project and have a minimal impact on our key local stakeholders. We're also looking at the ways in which we can rehabilitate the mining areas with a view to setting up rehabilitation industries, whether that be agriculture, agroforestry, and aquaculture and fish farming. So there's a number of initiatives that the company is exploring at the moment. The intent is to try and align the rehabilitation program to match the Ugandan Third National Development Plan. So we're looking at trying to put a framework in that's going to work with the policies and plans that have been implemented by the Ugandan government. In addition to this, the company is also exploring ways in which we can assist in education and health programs across the districts that host the project areas. Talking about the project and the location, as I mentioned previously, the project location is 120 kilometres east of Kampala. We're 50 kilometres from the mouth of the Nile at Ginger, and we have close proximity to high voltage power transmission corridors, roads and rail. So the project area is extremely well supported by existing infrastructure. Looking at that infrastructure and, for example, the 132 kV power transmission corridor, which runs effectively to the north of the tenements and the mineralisation areas, and likely to be, within a few hundred metres of where we intend to locate the process plant. So the project area is extremely well supported by existing infrastructure. The resource and mineralisation that we've tested to date is highlighted by the shaded blue areas in the figure on the top right. The dots, the coloured dots, yellow, red, orange, green, indicate where we've recently completed exploration drilling, so rotary air blast drilling. Those areas all sit outside of the existing resource, and so they provide substantial upside, we expect, for the company to increase the resource base at the project in the future. The focus of the drilling that we've completed previously in the phase 4 and will hopefully have completed by the end of September is defined by the black outlines. So we're really focusing the drilling activity in the central area and the large anomaly to the east in area I. So the plan is to focus that drilling program, get that data back, and then a mineral resource estimate update in the new year. Looking at scandium resources, as I mentioned previously, Makuutu's got tremendous appeal as a long-term low-cost producer of scandium in the future. A number of other scandium resources globally are typically associated with nickel laterites and byproduct from the production of titanium dioxide. So we see Makuutu as having, and scandium being another string in the bow of the project. And I think the global appeal of scandium is highlighted by recent initiatives from both Rio Tinto and Rusal to develop product lines and products in the scandium space. Looking at Uganda and the investment appeal, I think Uganda represents a tremendous jurisdiction for investment. It's not a jurisdiction that many mining investors would have experience in. And whilst there is a number of, I suppose, industrial mineral developments within Uganda, there's very little base metal developments that Western investors would have experience with. So there's an opportunity for Ionic to go in there, demonstrate the transparent nature of the mining code and the mining system within Uganda. It's got quite favourable investment metrics and incentives, and the company has maintained very good relations with the Directorate of Geological Survey and Mines, and we continue to receive and maintain good relations with a number of government and communities that we're engaging with on a regular basis. Looking at the appeal of the basket at Makuutu, Makuutu is the basket on the left, shows the elemental composition of each of the elements. Based on the current spot pricing as of the start of August, infers a basket value of around about $65 a kilo US, which is a very high value basket compared to many of the light rare earth mineral concentrates that are typically developed or many of our peer projects on the ASX. So as a project, a basket, Makuutu does have a significant appeal in a high margin product. We have a number of strategic partner initiatives that are currently underway. We've maintained very good relationships with numerous global groups. We've signed a non-binding MOU with China Rare Earths Jiangsu, and that's helping the company to better understand the option and the opportunity to de-risk the project moving forward. We continue to talk with many other global groups, and it's fair to say there is a wide and diverse appeal driven by the basket at Makuutu, plus the simple, low-cost nature of the mineralisation. That's a bit of an overview of our work program for the next 18 months to get to a feasibility study and a mining licence application, and we're planning on being in production by the start of 2024. Furthermore, just to touch upon the community and the activity engagements that the project and the company are engaged in at the moment, key focus being the Phase 4 drill program, a lot of stakeholder engagement, the environmental and social impact assessment, and working through a lot of the activities that are going to be required for the company to submit a mining licence application before or by October of 2022. So we've got quite a busy work program over the next 6 to 12 months to make sure the company's in a position to lodge that application. Thank you for your time, and if you have any further questions, the team at the desk and the team at the Ionic stand, I'm sure would love to hear from you. Thank you.